Welcome to the Sunday Zoom of Pet Club 24/7's Dr. Jerry. I'm honored to be here with all of you. It's exciting times. We truly have something that I feel everyone needs to be aware of. And once they are aware of it, they will choose to make this a part of their daily life. It's just common sense. It's been used for thousands of years. The ancient Egyptians knew about it, the ancient Romans, they all used it because of its health benefits, of its life promoting, longevity promoting benefits. It was in Asia that it was incorporated into the pharmacopoeia and utilized widely in a lot of remedies. So I'm not surprised that it was in Asia that it's been perfected, and by perfected, using modern technology, to figure out what makes it work. And all of the various glucans that are a part of the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, beta glucan, you can search that on PubMed and come up with over 20,000 published studies. It's amazing. It supports gut function, it supports liver function, it supports brain function, it supports life, it supports health. And the Coriolis versicolor mushroom has a wide spectrum of these glucans, also known as polysaccharides, bioactive polysaccharides. And so we definitely want to include these in our lives, especially now, because we are at a point in time where we're realizing that our immune systems have been heavily challenged. And the medical term is dampened, pushed backwards. Also, I use the word just hammered, because immunity is running probably about half of where it should be in terms of being effective. And we're beginning to see it in the lifespan of animals. In fact, pets are living about half as long as they did in as recently as the 1970s. If we look back at lifespans of pets, it's plummeting ever since. And the incidence of various diseases like cancers and autoimmune diseases and diabetes and allergies and all kinds of things are just off the charts with our pets. But it's beginning to show in people as well. And people's lifespans are beginning to go backwards as well. And it's for many of the same reasons. We have been exposed to over 80,000 chemicals that are approved for use in industry. And those chemicals end up not only in our air, food, and water that we can't avoid, they end up in our clothing, our building materials, in our personal care items. We are exposed to hundreds of toxins before we even leave the house in the morning because of the various items we might use in the shower, and et cetera, et cetera. It's crazy what we deal with in modern society. And then it's kind of like you've heard the story of boiling the frog. You boil the frog slow enough, they don't jump out of the water. Then they end up being cooked. That's happening in our atmosphere with all of the communication technology that started back in the last century with radar technology, and then electricity with EMFs. And then we have, now we have these highly advanced communication technologies, 2G, 3G, 4G, now 5G. Each one stepping up its ionizing ability and its caustic ability. So we live in a toxic soup. There's no getting around it. I don't care where you live. We are all struggling with it. So we literally do not even know what it feels like to be well, like perhaps our ancestors felt like. So we need tools. We need things. We need to pay attention. We need to do some things to support on a daily basis ourselves in maintaining our well-being, our strength, our energy, our vitality, our vigor, our longevity. Because it won't be long that, just like animals are showing it faster than humans. They always do, because their metabolism's faster and they're living half as long now. We do not want to see that for our children and grandchildren, to live in a world where disease becomes so rampant that they start living half as long as we have lived. And so it's up to us to change that paradigm. And I think it's just using common sense tools. And we certainly, this common sense tool is completely user-friendly to us. Just the like person she is. They're amazing, Cristin Ludlow. There's such support for this team, and many of you know that. I experience it constantly. But she was actually, they're having a dinner for her mother, and she wanted to be here. So she asked if she could step in here for about 15 minutes. And I want her to share her story because it's an extremely powerful story, and it's especially powerful coming from her. She's been here the entire 8 years of the existence of this company. She literally came over to Pet Club 24/7 because she loves pets. But a year later, her husband, Kurt, saw what was happening with her, and he was in leadership in another company, like a company, a very large company, actually, and doing quite well. But she was able to do in, I think it was like 15 months, what it took him 5 years to do. And he realized what the magnetism was in this company. And I think the whole doorway of pets had some brilliance to it that the founders of this company maybe didn't fully understand. They were just looking for a doorway to bring this product through. And it all started with one of the founders of the company. His mother was diagnosed with a severe lung affliction, attended Sloan Kettering, and they didn't give her a great prognosis, but they threw everything at it that they had. And at the end of everything they could do medically, they gave her about 2 months, possibly as little as a month and a half to live. And it was at that point that the future founder, one of the future founders of this company, her son, started calling family members. A family member happened to be in Japan. It was a cousin who was a physician working with a team of physician scientists and researchers on standardizing the Coriolis versicolor mushroom. And in that endeavor, they figured out, because of modern technology, as I mentioned, all of the different parameters of the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, which allowed them to analyze all of the different varieties, which they found there were over 200 globally. So if you've heard of people that are actually taking Coriolis versicolor mushroom, they're likely taking one of the other 200 varieties. And there's a broad spectrum of difference in the different varieties. So of course they isolated the one that was most potent, and they started working with it. And in fact, there were things they could look at to track that, the PSK and the PSP. PSK, they were finding, was extremely valuable with the cancer cases. In fact, in Japan, they are required to use PSK from this mushroom species in cases of people that have cancer, no matter what other treatment or therapies are being used. It's that valuable. PSP is actually known to be very good to support antiviral type loads, especially oncovirus. And the oncovirus are very tough viruses. They're like the Hep C and the HPV viruses are oncoviruses. So this is a very valuable array of glucans that this brings to the table. And they were able to pinpoint all of these things so they could isolate the one most potent. But then they found that different stages of the life cycle showed different values. So they wanted to get very zeroed in on what made it work. And they found that if they used the mycelium phase, that was infinitely more potent. So that's what they worked with. And then it was very difficult because these glucans, these polysaccharides, they're bioactive, they're not highly stable, they're susceptible to heat and other forms of processing. So they had to come up with a process that protected them, which they were able to do. So they did all of that, and they were getting amazing results. So the cousin asked the future founder of the company, would she try it? And of course, what's he going to say? They're giving her no hope. Of course she'll try it. Send it as fast as you can. So he did. Long story short, 4.5 months later, she's feeling like her old self again. All of her symptoms are gone. She didn't know what was going on because they'd given her at most 2 months to live. She went back to Sloan Kettering. The doctors were shocked to see her. And when they did, they looked at her file and said, we don't understand how you could even be here. But they ran all the tests and they found no evidence of disease. And they were shocked. They said, what have you done? And when she explained it, they could hardly believe it, but they said, we need to study it just in case. And so they had lots sent over to Sloan and they started doing studies. And the studies were so amazing. And the immune system modulation, which is a key word, doesn't stimulate the immune system. It modulates it, and it modulates it through many mechanisms. As I said, it supports gut function, it supports liver function, it supports brain function, it supports the communication between these various entities in our body. It supports the thymus and its development of killer T cells. It supports T cell creation. So that's the core to your immune system. That's the core to, we all have cancer cells develop every day, living in an environment such as we live in, with ionizing radiation and all of these toxins. We all produce cancer cells on a daily basis. The reason we all don't come down with cancer and die is our immune system. Our immune system cleans it up. So we are amazing individuals. We're divinely created, divinely inspired, amazing energy that we have to adapt and compensate and keep our bodies well. But we are up against such massive amount of contradictory forces to life that we end up getting knocked back. So we need allies in our defense. We need allies to help support our being here, our longevity and our strength and energy. So it's just simple things that we need to do. And this is so easy to incorporate into a lifestyle. It's as simple as taking a capsule, one capsule per 50 pounds of body weight daily. That's a maintenance dose. They recommend, based on experience, if you're not well, double it. If it's life-threatening, multiply it by 4. So it's a simple formula. The flagship product, Coriolis Versicolor, is less than $40 a bottle. And so it's available literally to everyone to get started. And the company, when we found them, they had an awesome compensation as well, but they had 16 customers to every distributor. So that to me told me right away when I found out this works, obviously. And then I wondered what the retention was. And the retention is over 85%, month on month after month after month. That tells you that it works. The other thing that tells me that it works, I've known about the Coriolis versicolor mushroom for 40 years, and I've utilized it. And I've known that ancient civilizations knew about it and used it. So we know it works. And yet now it's been perfected by modern technology. It's been isolated and standardized. And our product, because of the family connection, we have what Sloan Kettering, MD Anderson, Loma Linda University, Harvard, Beth Israel, all of these other American Cancer Society sponsoring hundreds of published studies all around the country. We have the product they've studied. That doesn't happen. There's no other company in the world I know of, nothing I've ever worked with or found, where you have the most prestigious institutions in the world study your product, not some version of it, not some thing that you've derived, and you don't have your medical advisory team or your medical people that have been hired telling you that it's an immune system modulator. You have the most highly noted institutions in the world telling you that. So when I let people know this, when I was doing my dials early on in February, I didn't get anyone telling me no. And of course, I approached people that I hadn't spoken with in years. Some of the people I'd talked with in February, I hadn't talked with them in 7, 8, 9, even 10 years. And of course, I let them know that, I'm just catching up, how are you doing? But there's something really valuable I want to share with you. But then I went right to talking about them and asking them about their lives and getting their feedback, talking with me about what was going on with them. But they would always come back, what's so important? I haven't talked with you in years. What are you reaching out to me about? And once I explained that after the years we've come through, they all know. Everyone experienced the last 5 years. Everyone knows all of the question marks it created, all of the fear, all of the anxiety, all of the angst. Everyone that is around now went through that, and they came through it knowing the most valuable thing they have or want is an active immune system, an immune system that really works. Because not only did we experience the last 5 years, if you do any research at all, you'll see H1N1, you'll see disease X, you'll see Marburg's, Ebola, all the talk of all of these potential threats to the next pandemic, they talk about it. They love to talk about this stuff. And I guarantee you, the wealthy people got wealthier. Most people got lost money during the past 5 years, but the wealthiest of people got wealthier. So what do you think is going to happen? They would love to do a rerun on that. But you know what? We are smarter now. We know how to protect ourselves. We know the strength of this body. We know what lives in here. So we know we can defend ourselves. And that's a valuable thing. That is so valuable. I can't even stress how valuable it is. And I really would love to pass it to Cristin if she's here. She did want to step in. I wonder if she got...
I'm here.
Oh, Cristin, thank you. So I was going on because I didn't see you.
Sorry about that.
Cristin Ludlow, thank you so much for being here. And I apologize for taking you away from your mother's dinner, but people are longing to hear your full story, if you don't mind, just on basically your health story.
Yeah, I would love to share. And thank you so much for having me on. And thank you guys all for jumping on this Zoom today. We just appreciate you and your hearts and that you're willing to go above and beyond and take extra steps to get information that can not only help you and your families, but maybe, countless other people as well. We're so grateful for this health journey that I was on that got pretty detrimental. It came to a head. So I am one of those people that's mind over matter. And I always feel like I can will myself through anything, which is great, but at the same time, I had gotten to a point where I was going through so much stress and trauma and just a lot of things over and over and over. And I wasn't taking a very good care of myself. And so I started getting sick, and it just, over time, over several years, I got to the point where I couldn't eat gluten anymore. If I would have a bite of gluten, my eyes would swell up, my feet would swell up, my stomach would get bloated, I would cramp, I'd get a migraine. It was really, really bad. I was very tired, had no energy. I would shake so badly, my hands would shake that I couldn't even write with the pen because my writing would be ineligible. And is that the right word? Unlegible. I think that's the right word.
We know.
I couldn't write. Couldn't read it. And then I got to the point where I got very depressed. And it was just a fight and a struggle every day just to get out of bed and face the day as people. Nevertheless, all of the things God had put on my heart and called me to do, I just had no energy, no desire, no will to do any of those things. And I lost a lot of weight, had no appetite. I was down to less than 110 pounds. I was 109 pounds, which I'm 5'9". So I pretty much looked emaciated. And then eventually I started having these small seizures, and I would pass out just out of the blue. And I couldn't drive because we never knew when one of these seizures or when that fainting spell was going to hit. And at that point, finally, after years, that's when I decided, okay, I need to go to the doctor and see what's happening inside of my body. Because for a long time, I thought it was just the stress. And then once I started having seizures, I got really concerned. So I went to the doctor. They did blood work on me. And sure enough, the autoimmune marker was present. And my antithyroid globulin levels, which are supposed to be less than 1, were 522. That's how much inflammation I had in my body. So my doctor was really alarmed by this, and he said, we need to get you in right away for testing because we need to manage the flare-ups. Those were his words. We need to figure out what's wrong with you so we can manage the flare-ups. Not fix it, not resolve it, nothing but manage it, because he made it sound like it was something that I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. So I need to learn how to manage it. So he says this is a 2-year-long process of deductive reasoning, meaning that we figure out what it's not before we'll figure out what it is. So we're going to run these tests on you. And when they come back negative, then we know to do the next test and the next test and the next test. So at that point, I thought, man, if my immune system is confused and this is something that I'm going to be dealing with for the rest of my life, then I want to at least feel the best that I can feel having this type of condition. And I had seen a lot of the studies on the Coriolis versicolor mushroom and how they actually modulate the immune system. So I knew it wasn't a boost or a stimulant that was going to make my problem worse. I knew it was instead something that was going to shift my immune system and help it find its way home. And I had also seen what this mushroom had done for my friend's pet who had an autoimmune condition. Her name was Zenta. And within months, I mean, she made a full recovery. So I thought, man, even if this can just improve my quality of life so I don't feel as bad, maybe I can get out of bed, it would be worth it. So I started taking these Inforce capsules and not thinking much of it. I would take 6 a day, 3 in the morning, right when I woke up, and then 3 at night, right before I went to bed. I changed nothing else, didn't change my diet, didn't exercise, like no other difference than taking these mushrooms every day. And after a week, I wasn't needing to take a nap anymore. I didn't feel as tired. And then after 2 weeks, I'm feeling a little bit happier. My mood was elevated. After 3 weeks, my mind was clearing up. I was feeling better. I was thinking more clearly. The tremors were becoming more and more mild. And I thought, wow, this is really great. You know, once we figure out what autoimmune thing I have, then I think I'll be okay. You know, my body seems to be rebalancing itself. So we go through the gastroenterology portion, nothing conclusive, but little by little, I'm feeling better and better every day. 5.5 months later, we're starting the endocrinology portion, and I skip into the endocrinologist office, and I'm like, hi. He's like, he looks at me, he's like, you don't look like you have an autoimmune condition. I was like, I feel great. He's like, well, let's do some blood and let's see where you are, where your hormones are. So they did my blood work, and sure enough, autoimmune marker was gone, completely gone. My antithyroid globulin levels that were 522 had dropped down to less than 1 in 5.5 months of nothing different than feeding my body a mushroom that helped to support my immune system so it could find its way back home and correct itself. And so he looked at me and he said, this does not even look like the blood work from the same person. A vitamin D deficiency I've had almost my whole life, not present. A vitamin B deficiency I've had for several years, no evidence of it. He said, this doesn't even look like the same person. And I said, well, I've been taking a mushroom and I think it helped to support my immune system. He said, well, keep doing that. There's no reason to continue to do any more testing because whatever was happening is not happening anymore. So you're free to go. And I was like, yes. So I left, and having a gluten intolerance for many years, I wanted to test it. And I thought maybe that gluten intolerance was a result of whatever autoimmune condition I was dealing with. And so that night, Dr. Jerry, I ate the biggest quesadilla you can imagine. And it was so delicious. I can still taste it to this day. And no reaction whatsoever. And I've eaten gluten with no problem ever since that day. This was over 6 years ago. And even for the last 5 years, I have taken 0 medications. I'm an athlete, so I would take several ibuprofen a week to, because you get stiff and sore. And I would take an allergy pill almost every single day for sinus pressure and allergies, and nothing in over 5 years. My own immune system has been able to repair, rebuild, regulate, renew, rebalance everything that's happened inside of my body. And so it's so encouraging for me and inspiring for me. And when you were talking a little bit earlier about how we saw how quickly the entire world can just shut down, and we can live in fear of that. We can live in the uncertainty of not knowing what's going to happen. Or we can go in faith and eat the right foods that support our body and give it the natural support that it deserves, and let God do through our bodies what our bodies were designed to do. It was so intelligently designed, and we don't have to be afraid of anything that might happen to us or what the world might throw at us, because we know that we're doing at least everything that we can within our power to be proactive and to treat our bodies the right way. And I'm so grateful for what God has done in my body, not only because I feel better, but it has truly given me the energy, and it's given me the capacity to step into my calling and to pursue the purpose that God has put on my life, when before I didn't even have the energy to get out of bed. Nevertheless, do something significant that could impact other people positively, and, be the change that I want to see in the world. So just all around, it's been the most incredible journey. And I'm so confident, friends, regardless of what you're experiencing with your pet or with yourself, let's feed our bodies the natural support that it deserves, because it's not a cure for anything. It doesn't mitigate, it doesn't treat, it doesn't prevent anything. It's not a cure. It's literally just a food. Doesn't interact with any medications or treatments, can't get addicted, can't overdose, no side effects. It's no different from eating a mushroom on a salad, but it's a food that feeds the immune system. So I think I shared this with you, Dr. Jerry, but I have a new tagline I'm going to start using, because the name of the Coriolis versicolor mushroom tablets or caplets are called In Force. So I'm going to start telling people, feed the force within.
Love it. I love it. Do you mind me emphasizing something? You said 5.5 months, right, before you were back and skipped in the office, the doctor's office.
Yes.
We get people on here that, the next day their things clear up. And those are amazing testimonials, but in a way, part of me doesn't like those, because the body develops disease not overnight. The body develops disease over decades of not functioning properly. And we're all in some stage of that, of disease development, because that's what happens when we degenerate, when our immune system's working about half where it should be. We're all in those different disease states, some more, some less. And it's not going to reverse overnight. Cristin, very young and athletic and these kind of things, it took 5.5 months. Sometimes, and especially with support of the gut has to do a lot of things to get itself back, because it's so damaged. You can go through a lot of gut change in the process of the gut restoring itself. And just like Cristin said, this doesn't heal or cure or mitigate, but what it does is it supports your body. It supports life. It supports what God intended your life to be. It supports the communication of that life to full expression. But that doesn't happen overnight. This is something, and I read an excerpt from the Materia Medica of Chinese medicine that dates back to like 1519, that explains if you take this every day, you will live a longer, more vigorous life. That's the summation. And Cristin also said, give our body the support it deserves. Our future generations deserve to have what we have, and to have what our parents had, and not have a life where they can expect to live half as long, because disease has encroached so far, or rather than disease encroaching, our own body's ability to fight off that encroachment has reached a place that we can no longer do it. So we need to support common sense. That's all this is just common sense. Cristin, thank you. Tell your mother thank you for being able to join us and share that story. I love it, and I really appreciate you and Kurt and all the support you give us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me on. Be blessed, everybody, and I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. Hope you have a wonderful night.
And you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll reach out now. Anyone else want to jump in and give a little bit of their story? I know, Liddy, you've got a lot of people on your team. Fifi, Catherine shared stories with me recently. You've all shared to Bill Kraft. There's so many people I talk to on a daily basis that have people whose lives are turning around, their own lives, or people they know whose lives are turning around. We are impacting lives. If any one of you want to step up and share before we wrap, that'd be great.
Hi, Jerry. This is Aliyah.
Aliyah, aloha, Aliyah. And then we'll
Aloha.
go to the.
Thank you.
How are things on Maui? Thank you.
They're beautiful. It's a beautiful day. I wanted to share. Thank you for having her story on. I've taken a little bit longer, so I heard the stories of overnight kind of stuff and was getting a little bit discouraged. But I'm down 17 pounds from when I started.
Wow.
And have the energy to get up every morning and go for a walk. And now I'm able to go to the pool and have the drive to do it again. So it's been a while. And thank you for your diligence and being able to be here and be a support for us. And Cristin is amazing. So looking forward to good things.
Thank you, Aliyah. Appreciate you. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Anyone? I heard someone else wanted to jump in. Seemed like it was Restored Healthy One, maybe. I don't know. I caught a quick glimpse, but I'm not sure. Anyone else before we wrap?
Dr. Jerry, what was she taking to get down 17 pounds? Is that
Well,
part of the
anytime you support if you support gut function and liver function, what happens is you're supporting metabolism. You're allowing your body to process things properly. Our guts are so damaged that they become leaky and it overloads the liver, and the liver has 600 known functions, which includes metabolic factors, which includes precursors for immunity, which includes enzymes and hormones, which includes even storing blood sugars, getting the fats and liver.
For a long time, that chiropractors, osteopaths.
Yeah, livers and fats, getting the fats correct is so important, and for all kinds of disease, the liver. And then you support brain, liver, gut. What do you expect is going to happen? Ultimately, long-term well-being, long-term vigor, long-term improved metabolism, long-term improved digestion. And these aren't health claims. This is what your body is supposed to do. What you're doing is supporting your body's natural function, supporting the way your body was created to function, but has been literally hammered and prevented to function properly. And whether, by malice or by mistake, but it's happened. Anyway, many reasons a person would achieve their ideal weight.
I guess I was just curious because I know some of the supplements do different things for everybody, depending on your body and what's going on. And I know that somebody said that they had been taking this Corias versicola and then they started adding clarity, and that helped with their digestion. And then they lost a bunch of weight. So, and then also the Restore is good for glucose. So I was just curious what happened, what worked for her. That was all. I didn't know if she had two things she was taking or just the Corias versicola.
I was
pretty
taking
sure.
the Enforce and the Restore. All three of them, the Enforce and the Restore and the Clarity.
Okay. Thank you, sweetie.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I want to emphasize the main flagship product here is definitely Enforce. It's the one that everyone has studied. It's the one that is the most bioavailable. And if you load up on something, load up on Enforce. The Clarity, the Restore, the Shield, etc., can be added in a targeted way. But I think if you get people started, get them started with Enforce. And that's why I love the company has now, we have 3 packs, $199, $499, $999. It focuses on Enforce, and you don't have to wait for the email. You don't have to, there's no second step in the sign-up process. It's just good, better, best. And then once people are in and taking the Enforce, then they can learn, then they can educate themselves. When might it be good to add Clarity? When might it be good to add Restore or Shield? Those are great to bring in secondarily. And of course, we love the cookies and the coffee. So, but those have the Enforce, the Coriolis versicolor in them, and they're part of those packs. So the company listens, they understand, and if you want to customize a pack, you feel free to do that when someone joins. But it is an education. There's a learning curve behind all of this. And it just mitigates all of that learning curve where you can just go in and order and you can get started with the product that I feel is the most effective, and it is the one that's been tested to feed the immune system in a very special way. Again, we don't cure, treat, or mitigate, but what we do is support life, we support function, and that's what we can all do and what we all need to do, because we live in a world that tends to push that down, and we need allies in our defense. So thank you everyone for joining tonight. Again, I'll be posting on WhatsApp. This recording will be on WhatsApp. So if you do have, if you do go there and you join that group, you'll be able to see that, copy it, and send it to your team, and we'll get everyone notified every day. That way, my texts just weren't reaching everyone. So thank you for helping, and God bless you all. You're amazing. You're all true leaders, and you're in front of I think, the greatest company that's ever hit the space. And the world's going to know about it very soon.
Amen. Thanks, Dr. Jerry. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jerry.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, everyone.
Jerry, thank you.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Shelley. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Good night.
Don't forget, thank you so much. Don't forget, every morning during the week, the motivation call. It is awesome.
Yes.
It's like 15 minutes of sheer power.
That's great. Thank you.
If you don't know where that is, go to petsystemguide.com. I'll put that in the chat on just in a few minutes. Petsystemguide.com. Scroll down, and you'll see the call schedule and how to get there. Good night, everyone. See you on Tuesday.
Night,
Night.
Dr. Jerry. Night,
Good night.
family.
Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.